Summit has lots of local destinations, but where do you start? Green Street, a vibrant community space in the heart of downtown, is where Lee Summit comes together. Its 3 dynamic areas have something for everyone. Green Street Market is a modern event venue and home to the downtown Lee Summit Farmers Market. Green Street Lawn is a covered performance space hosting live music, family activities, and more. Green Street Grove is a mixture of gathering spaces, an immersive playground, and bold architectural features. And all 3 areas host community events year-round. So the next time you set out to enjoy the city you love, remember, meet at Green Street.
Hello, Lee Summit. I'm Jordan. Here's your flash briefing for the week of June 8th. City Council will meet for a regular session Tuesday night at 6 in Council Chambers and City Hall. Meetings are open to the public or watch live on the city's YouTube channel. If you can't watch, catch the recorded meeting on demand on the YouTube channel or by subscribing to the Council Debrief newsletter, which breaks down 3 to 4 key agenda items. Subscribe at cityofls.net. Join us for the first Football Friday celebration this Friday, June 12th from 6 to 10 p.m. at Green Street. This 5-week event series is designed to celebrate the global excitement of the upcoming World Soccer celebration in Kansas City, while bringing that energy directly into the heart of Lee Summit. For more information, visit lsgoal26.org/football-Fridays. Green Street has a full week of events ahead. Whether you're looking for fitness or fun, we have Pilates, Silent Book Club, Downtown Farmers Market, and more. Find all upcoming events at greenstreetls.com/events. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
The City of Lee Summit has hundreds of traffic lights across its more than 1,000 lane miles, all managed by the city's Public Works traffic technicians. The work happens inside those metal boxes on the side of each intersection. Inside, technicians program a device called the controller. The controller communicates directly with each signal head via underground wires, telling each light when to turn on and off based on a programmed cycle. City traffic engineers designed this cycle to allow traffic to flow as efficiently as possible for that particular intersection. In order to best match current traffic patterns, they install something called a detection system. Detection systems have taken many forms over the years, from sensors in the pavement to radar boxes. But in Lee Summit, they primarily consist of cameras, which workers mount above the traffic signals. These cameras don't record video or your speed. Instead, they monitor the spaces at the front of the intersection and identify when a vehicle is present in a specific spot. Once a vehicle is identified, the detection system sends a message to the controller, which then adapts its standard cycle to best serve the cars that are present. The pedestrian button works in a similar way. When the button is pressed, the controller receives a signal, requesting that it allow that section of the pedestrian walkway to go, which it then inserts into the signal pattern. Technicians also install something called a conflict monitor. The conflict monitor is a device in which they program all the potential patterns of lights that would lead to a collision. If the other systems mistakenly trigger those patterns, the conflict monitor sends the intersection into flash, causing all lights to flash red and directing drivers to treat it like an all-way stop. City traffic technicians implement and maintain these systems so effectively, we rarely consider them. But every time we safely pass through a signal-controlled intersection, it's all thanks to their work. So the next time you're waiting at a red light, remember the delicate coordination of super smart systems that move you through that space safely and efficiently every day.
Want to know what's coming to Lee Summit? The Development Minute is here to help. Costco is being built at the southeast corner of 50 and 291. Costco is a membership-based warehouse retailer offering bulk goods, groceries, services, and discounted products. Costco marks phase 1 of the East Village development and is projected to open in late August. 7 Brew drive-thru coffee is coming to the corner of 291 and Southeast 5th Street. 7 Brew is a drive-thru beverage destination serving coffee, teas, energy drinks, and smoothies. 7 Brew is in final development plan and building permit review. Ovation, a mixed-use development, is in the early stages of construction at 150 and 291. Ovation is a master-planned community featuring housing, commercial development, and neighborhood amenities. Phase 1 of Ovation is targeted for completion this fall. 5-4 Draft House is under construction in the new Oldham Village development. The next generation of 54th Street, 5-4 offers updated spaces, drafts, and dining. 5-4 is slated to open this fall.
Keeping 500 miles of public sewer lines flowing keeps utility costs low and our environment healthy. The Lee Summit Water Utilities Operations Team does this every day. Sewer lines can be blocked with everything from roots to flushable wipes to food grease. When a potential blockage is identified, teams use detailed mapping to locate access points.
My camera's at 18038.
A camera truck parks at one end of the sewer line and a jet truck at the other. The camera truck carries a rover-type camera, which the team lowers into the manhole. The operator then drives the camera into the pipe, where it views and records from its adjustable lens. Here, it can identify the cause and precise location of the blockage. The jet truck will then use high-pressure water to remove the blockage, starting at the opposite end of the line. The operator inserts the jet head into the manhole. Pressurized water shoots out of the head, clearing out debris and propelling it forward. The camera observes this process, and the two operators communicate via walkie-talkie to coordinate movement.
Hold it right there. Go ahead and fire it up, half pressure. I'm in front of you.
Once the jet head has passed the blockage, the operator reels it back in. The camera can then inspect the pipe to see if the blockage is cleared.
Yeah, go ahead and pull out. We're done.
With the job complete, the camera is removed, cleaned, and returned to the truck, and the crew moves on to the next job. In addition to addressing identified problems, the team will systematically check every line in the city in a 5-year period, keeping costs low and our community healthy, today and for years to come. Keeping 500 miles of public sewer lines flowing keeps utility costs low and our environment healthy. The Lee Summit Water Utilities Operations Team does this every day. Sewer lines can be blocked with everything from roots to flushable wipes to food grease. When a potential blockage is identified, teams use detailed mapping to locate access points.
My camera's at 18038.
A camera truck parks at one end of the sewer line and a jet truck at the other. The camera truck carries a rover-type camera, which the team lowers into the manhole. The operator then drives the camera into the pipe, where it views and records from its adjustable lens. Here, it can identify the cause and precise location of the blockage. The jet truck will then use high-pressure water to remove the blockage, starting at the opposite end of the line. The operator inserts the jet head into the manhole. Pressurized water shoots out of the head, clearing out debris and propelling it forward. The camera observes this process, and the two operators communicate via walkie-talkie to coordinate movement.
Hold it right there. Go ahead and fire it up, half pressure. I'm in front of you.
Once the jet head has passed the blockage, the operator reels it back in. The camera can then inspect the pipe to see if the blockage is cleared.
Yeah, go ahead and pull out, we're done.
With the job complete, the camera is removed, cleaned, and returned to the truck, and the crew moves on to the next job. In addition to addressing identified problems, the team will systematically check every line in the city in a 5-year period, keeping costs low and our community healthy, today and for years to come.
Lee Summit has lots of local destinations, but where do you start? Green Street, a vibrant community space in the heart of downtown, is where Lee Summit comes together. Its 3 dynamic areas have something for everyone. Green Street Market is a modern event venue and home to the downtown Lee Summit Farmers Market. Green Street Lawn is a covered performance space hosting live music, family activities, and more. Green Street Grove is a mixture of gathering spaces, an immersive playground, and bold architectural features. And all 3 areas host community events year-round. So the next time you set out to enjoy the city you love, remember, meet at Green Street.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday, June 11th, 2026 meeting of the Lee Summit Planning Commission. Can I get a roll call attendance, please?
Edward Yarrington,
Here.
Molly Pesch,
Here.
Peyton Hatcher,
Here.
Terry Trafton,
Present.
Dana Arth,
Present.
Jessica Greneau,
Present.
Tanya Jonna Ford,
Present.
Chip Tazinski,
Present.
Lee Moore.
Present.
All right, thank you. And we have two new members on the Planning Commission. We have Lee Moore and Molly Pesch. Welcome to the Planning Commission. We will go ahead and I will ask for approval of the agenda.
Recommend approval. I'll second.
Okay, can we get a roll call vote on that, please?
Edward Yarrington,
Yes.
Molly Pesch,
Yes.
Peyton Hatcher,
Yes.
Terry Trafton,
Yes.
Dana Arth,
Yes.
Jessica Greneau,
Yes.
Tanya Jonna Ford,
Yes.
Chip Tazinski,
Yes.
Lee Moore.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Do we have any public comments tonight that pertain to the Planning Commission outside of the application this evening? Looks like we have none. So I will look for a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda. Second.
We have a second. Can we get a roll call vote on that, please?
Edward Yarrington,
Yes.
Molly Pesch,
Yes.
Peyton Hatcher,
Yes.
Terry Trafton,
Yes.
Dana Arth,
Yes.
Jessica Greneau,
Yes.
Tanya Jonna Ford,
Yes.
Chip Tazinski,
Yes.
Lee Moore.
Yes.
All right, thank you. We will now close the regular meeting and open the public hearing in the matter of application PL 2026-035, rezoning from PL, PO, and RP4 to CP2 and preliminary development plan, Dillon's Grocery Store, fuel kiosk with canopy and retail space located southwest of the Northeast Tudor Road and Northeast Douglas Street intersection. Tim Goyette, Phillips Edison and Company applicant. Would all of those planning to speak on behalf of this application please stand up at this time and be sworn in?
I promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
All right, thank you. Does the applicant have a presentation?
Yes, we do.
Okay, if you would state your name and address for the record.
I'm Patricia Jensen with the Rouse Fretz White Law Firm with an address of 801 West 47th Street, Kansas City, Missouri. And I'm going to have a number of people in the audience here that will present certain slides. They involve our whole team. So Tim Goyette is the representative of Phillips Edison Company. Brian Young is the architect. And Marvin Brown is the engineer from Pickering. And then Miles Osborne is a representative of Kroger Dillon's. Kroger has many brands under it. So we are very pleased to be here tonight. We've worked on this for several months with the city staff on it, and we've made many revisions to it. You'll see we only have 3 modifications listed in our presentations that shows you what modifications we need made. On the slide in front of you is identifying exactly the boundaries of the plan that's in front of you. And we've submitted an application for approval of a rezoning and a preliminary development plan from districts PI, PO, and RP4 to district CP2 to allow for the development of the property as a Dillon's grocery store, 100,000 square feet with gas pumps, additional retail store, and then we have 4 outlots for future development that we will be submitting at some point in time, but they're not before you right now. They're just the zoning for those future lots. And then, as I stated, we have about 3 modifications in our presentation before you. I'm going to go over a few photos, although I think you all know the site better probably than I do. This is the photos of the site. This is looking west from Northeast Douglas. And then the one on the right-hand side is looking southwest from Northeast Douglas. It's at the single-family home there right now. This photo looks from Northwest Main Street. And then these photos look northeast from Northwest Main Street. And it looks southwest from Tudor and Commerce. The site plan that is in front of you, this is the site plan that's in front of you. You can see the Dillon's grocery store is right here. Can you see my cursor? Okay, that's the Dillon's grocery store. This at the bottom is the convenience store with the gas pumps, and then there's a retail space, and then there are certain outlots where we're rezoning them. Will come in later when we have a development plan for them. Tim, do you want to come up here? Dillon's and Phillips Edison are very, very excited about this site, and you should as well be excited that Dillon's is going to use Lee Summit to really construct its first Missouri store. We have a plan approved north of the river, but Lee Summit will probably follow first. So Dillon's, some of you may have known or may have shopped at Dillon's a long time, but they are re-entering the Kansas City market, and they're putting stores all over the place. So with that, I'll have Tim he'll go through the Phillips Edison history as well as Dillon's, and then he will present the slides in front of you.
Good evening. Tim Goyette. I'm with Phillips Edison Company, located at 11501 Cincinnati, Ohio. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners, for taking this evening to hear us out. We are, as Patricia said, very excited to be here presenting this, and I look forward to any conversation on those exceptions we're asking for. I'm with, again, Phillips Edison, Vice President of Development, and I wanted to give you guys a little background real quick before we jump into the design of Phillips Edison. We're one of the nation's largest grocery-anchored retail owner and operators of grocery shopping centers. To date, we have 326, and we're in 31 states. We're a long-term owner, and we look to own and operate. So we'll buy, whether it be an existing center or a development. We'll develop the site, we'll lease it, we'll maintain it, and manage it throughout, and invest along the way to keep the beautification up and the look of the center long after construction. So as Patricia mentioned, this is one of the first. It'll be a first for Phillips Edison developing in Lee Summit, but it's not one of our first developments. We believe that Kansas City, and more particularly Lee Summit, is an attractive growth area. This is probably not our first in Lee Summit. We're looking at other sites and also within the Kansas City metro area. When we come into a development, we're very community-based because that's where a lot of our developments are, within communities. We look to establish relationships with the city, the residents, and the business community. So we're thrilled to have Dillon's as our anchor tenant at this development. Dillon's is one of 18 banners managed by or operated by the Kroger Company. And they have approximately 80 stores, primarily based in Kansas, and they're expanding to the Missouri side. And this could be the very first one, which would be a great story. So we're experienced. Dillon's and Phillips Edison, we've worked together for years. They're our #1 tenant across our portfolio in terms of grocery anchored tenants. So out of those 326, they make up the largest portion. And we understand that a development like this has a positive impact on the community, whether it be, you know, the surrounding retail, employment, and just residential or resident convenience. And what Dillon's is looking to do, they're not just going to build a typical grocery store. It's actually a marketplace, which a marketplace has a lot more selections and offerings, expanded departments. And also with a marketplace, we typically see a larger draw, not just in the community, but about 30% of the sales come from outside the community. So that's a huge benefit to this site in having a marketplace. Another thing about the Dillon's brand is they have, you know, drive-through pharmacy. They have pickup, which you order groceries online on your way home from work. You can stop by, they'll put them in the trunk. And they have a rewards program, a fuel rewards program that is one of the best in the nation. So we have worked hard with the city staff on coming up with this design. And as you can see on the screen here, this is our site plan with a strong anchor, such as Dillon's. We have complementary retail to the side, about 5,400 square foot of shops. And then we have some out parcels outside of the fuel that we're looking to develop. And here is the overall rendering of the site that illustrates our vision. And we worked a lot on the facades and dressing them up because both sides are considered main corridors. So we work with staff to enhance a lot of this, and I'll let the design team talk a little more about that. But ultimately, I think we've come up with a really good development that could be an attractive gateway and an asset for this community. And as a team, we feel that the spirit and intent meets the city standards. And respectfully, we are requesting a few exceptions tonight. So thank you for that. And at this point, I'll turn it over to the architectural and civil folks to talk through the design and the rationale behind the exceptions we're asking for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Marvin Brown with Pickering Firm, 6363 Poplar Avenue, Memphis, Tennessee. Worked as a civil engineer on this project, and of course, the site plan before you was developed by my firm. So I will be going through a few of the exception requests, modification requests, just to make sure you have some background on them. My first request of modification was for the landscaping along the southern line of the property. This is a landscape buffer modification. We are still proposing planting on that side of the site. It's more about the screening requirement for a high impact buffer. The property to our south is generally utility property. It's zoned agricultural, it has a water tower, and it doesn't seem like there'll be any future development there. And the high impact buffer was, as I read it in code, is more geared towards residential development or zoned land. So we're maintaining a pretty high level of plantings, and we have some natural topography that will come into play. This site has a decent bit of fall east to west, about 50 feet across the property, and flattening out the development for the Kroger or the Dillon's lot to have a reasonably flat parking lot. It will sit below a lot of the neighboring development, providing some natural screening just that way. And south of the outlot, there's a decent bit of fall as you get closer to Northeast Douglas, and think anything like a berm might be counterproductive in that area. So that's kind of the intent behind that modification request. As you see, we have our landscape plans in this presentation, and they've been reviewed by staff as well. We have a pretty high level of plantings planned along there to still meet the intent of the requirement to have a pretty good looking site for the public. Our second modification request had to do with the light pole heights in the parking lot. The standard, of course, is 15 feet in height within 100 feet of the property line, especially towards residential land. We have the apartment development to our north. One thing that we reviewed was, again, because of that same topography difference, this site is sitting well below the apartments to our north for the majority of the area. And the effective light pole height relative to what the apartments have will be pretty much either even with their light poles that they're providing on their southern boundary or below their light poles with the proposed 28-foot poles that we're showing within our parking lot. And we will have the full cutoff fixtures, anti-glare, all of those dark sky standard light fixtures. So our photometric plan shows a pretty decent cutoff right at the property line, so we're not bleeding over any light into the residential uses, and we're not shining onto any apartment balconies or anything of that nature. In our development plan, we included some cuts just showing for a sense of scale what the light pole heights look like within the property, what the light pole heights are for the apartments as proposed, and just some outlines of the buildings as well, as you can see. And also added in the mature heights of our proposed buffer plantings as well, just to give a sense of scale of what's going to be in between our parking lot and the apartments to our north. And we have two cuts, one for the further west line of lights and another one for the lights a little bit further east. The further east ones are even lower relative to the grades to the north. And this is just a cut sheet on the lighting fixtures. Again, we've been using these lighting fixtures a lot for the developments. They perform very well and do keep light focused in on the parking lot itself. The third modification request has to do with elevation materials, specifically primary facade material requirements. Our architect will talk a little bit more about those in a moment. But one of the main things that we're focusing on this modification is more towards the rear elevation of the store, as that's, we have done a lot of enhancements to the front of the store facing Northeast Douglas, and I'll turn it over to Brian with the architecture group to go over in detail what the elevations will contain.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Young. I'm with Naos Design Group. I'm the architect. Our address is 4949 South Syracuse in Denver, Colorado. Before I start talking about the elevations, I did bring a materials board. I don't know if you guys would like to see it after, or if it would help to kind of see the materials.
Sure, if you want to, you can bring it up here and we can pass it around, pass it down the line.
So as Marvin had mentioned, we're here to look at modification requests for the elevation materials, articulation, and glazing. On the slide, you can see the UDO references for these three different requirements. Oops. So what we're asking for in the first part of the modification is to allow the two chosen premium variations of Class 1 and Class 2 masonry materials on the rear facade in lieu of three distinct materials. This request is purely coming from a functional requirement of what's in the back of the building, which is the back of house where they're storing things. They've got forklifts, things like that. So adding glazing or other like metal type materials, it's just going to get damaged. And so that's what's kind of moving that request. We currently are showing several different types of masonry in the back to help meet the spirit of the requirement for those Class 1 materials. The other request is to approve the wall articulation for both the front, which is the east elevation, and the rear, based on the overall architectural scale of the facility rather than strict 60-foot intervals. As we'll see here in some future slides, we do show that articulation on all 4 elevations of the building to kind of create a comprehensive 4-sided architecture for the new Dillons. Reduce the required pedestrian view zone glazing at the rear, which ties into that first request, to 0 based on the structural and back of house interior use of the building, and accept the 31% visibility or view area on the front of the building. This is also a requirement or a request that's driven by operational needs, especially at the front of the building where we have shopping carts. Where we have glazing below 4 feet, it tends to get damaged and bumped into. So the request is that we can raise that view zone glazing up to 4 feet, which we're showing currently, to help kind of prevent any of those issues. And here you can kind of see the front elevation, which is at the top of your screen. And then we've got the drive-through pharmacy elevation here on the south elevation here on the bottom part of the screen. It's a little, don't want to get into the nitty-gritty, but we can see where we've broken out, where we've got the Class 1, Class 2, all the way through Class 5 materials kind of broken out by area. The intent is, again, you can kind of see the intent, which is to create variation in the facade with the different parapet heights on the corner of the building, on all 3 corners of the building, except this corner over here, we've got the shops. We have a kind of tower element. This is a pop-out element that kind of creates some more texture and articulation above and beyond what we typically see in our prototype for this type of building. Again, here's kind of the breakout of all the areas that we have. Here's the rear elevation and the north elevation or the right elevation. Again, you can see that articulation in the parapets carried across the back of the building. We've also varied the materials, carrying the wainscoting around along the base of the building. And then again, on where we have the retail shops, we've continued the same articulation in material changes around that edge as well. These ones might be a little small on your screen, but these are the shops that are adjacent, attached to the Dillons. Again, trying to keep the architecture cohesive across the entire development. You can see some of the same kind of pop-outs that we have, these kind of tower elements on the corners, additional glazing that we've added for these future retail spaces. And again, the same materiality has been carried through as well. This is a view of the fuel canopy and kiosk. This is kind of the Dillon's typical kiosk and branding. These are some of the out parcel buildings that are, again, we're showing them to show that we're trying to create this vocabulary across the entire development, where you can see some of the same materials, the glazing, canopies, things like that. Here's a rendering of the front of the Dillons. And then this would be the rear elevation of the Dillons as well. And then we've got another out parcel building. Again, this one's a little bit larger than the last one, but it still has all of the same elements. I think Miles will take it.
Miles Osborne with Dillon's Companies, Kroger, 8712 West 124th Street, Overland Park. I just want to briefly kind of mention how important Lee's Summit is to Dillon's growth prospects. And we've prioritized Lee's Summit. Some of you may be aware, we have one location going in Olathe, Kansas, but Lee's Summit was our second priority and our first priority getting over into Missouri. We're really excited about the existing demographics here, as well as the strong population that's already here. But we're also very excited about the growth that we see in and around the area. So I just kind of wanted to reaffirm that this is a very important market for us, and one that we not only expect to do this site, but potentially build out a few more sites in the market.
Thank you.
In summary, we have an application for the rezoning and preliminary development plan in front of you, and we would request that you respectfully approve that, subject to the modifications that were gone over. We certainly are available to any member of the team answer questions after after the staff gets done making their presentation.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time.
Ms. Bright, it looks like you have the presentation for the staff.
Good evening, Adair Bright, Senior Planner. I'd like to enter into the record Exhibit A, list of Exhibits 1 through 18.
Exhibit A, 1 through 18, noted and entered into the record.
The applicant is requesting approval of a rezoning, which is shown with the yellow outline, on 21.61 acres from planned industrial, planned apartment residential, and planned office to planned community commercial. They're also requesting approval of a preliminary development plan shown with the pink hatching on 15.71 acres for development of a grocery store, fuel canopy and kiosk, and adjoining retail. There are 5 proposed modifications, which will be reviewed later within the presentation. The proposal also includes a conceptual plan for the remaining 5.9 acres, which will require preliminary and final development plan approval at the time of development. This slide provides some better context of the surrounding area and the location of the property itself. The proposal contains 9 parcels with 3 different zoning districts. The property has a larger cluster of parcels about halfway between Northeast Tudor Road and Northeast Chipman Road, and also has the parcel with frontage along Northeast Commerce Drive and Northwest Main Street. The property to the north contains apartments which are currently developing. Across Tudor is the Joint Operations Center and Industrial Warehouse Facility. To the west are office and industrial uses, and to the east is Lee Summit North High School. The properties to the south contain a water tower and an underground water storage tank, both of which are owned and maintained by the city. The future land use map, which serves as a guide for generalized land use categories, identifies the subject property as mixed use and residential 3. While the development would require an amendment to the future land use map, there are developing apartments to the north, and the development would function as a commercial node serving those residents and the surrounding area. Based on the surrounding development pattern and the intent of the map, the proposed uses are appropriate for the area. The development also supports the strong neighborhoods and housing choice and the resilient economy focus areas, along with the Ignite comprehensive goal to develop non-residential uses along major corridors. The PDP proposal includes the grocery store, the fuel canopy and kiosk, and the adjoining retail, which total about 106,000 square feet. There are 2 proposed accesses off Northeast Douglas Street and 1 off Northwest Main Street. The northernmost access on Northeast Douglas will be a full access, while the southern will be a right-in, right-out. The pedestrian entrance faces Northeast Douglas Street, while the rear abuts Northwest Main Street. The applicant is proposing 434 parking stalls, which complies with the UDO requirement for the specified uses. A stormwater management report was submitted and reviewed by staff, and the applicant is proposing 2 detention basins on the west side of the site to accommodate stormwater runoff. A traffic impact study was submitted and reviewed by staff as well, and the following improvements are required. Signalization of the full access drive at Lee Summit North driveway along Northeast Douglas Street, addition of northbound and southbound left turn lanes at the intersection, southbound right turn lanes at both accesses on Northeast Douglas, access restrictions for the southern access on Northeast Douglas Street, a raised concrete median along Northeast Douglas Street, and a 5-foot wide sidewalk along the entire Northeast Douglas Street frontage. The proposed building includes CMU blocks, metal panels, and clear glass, and the design does include front entrance features as required by the UDO. The applicant is requesting a modification to the fenestration requirement, which states that fenestrations with clear glass shall occupy no less than 50% of the pedestrian view zone. The applicant is proposing the eastern facade, which is the front, contain 31% of clear glass, and the western facade, which is the rear, contains 0%. Staff is supportive of the request since the storefront is on the eastern side of the building and the applicant is providing clear glass to signify the public area. Also, the internal layout of the grocery store limits the ability to supply additional glass, and the intent is being met by highlighting the part of the building that is open for pedestrian entry. The second modification requested is to the quantity of materials required on a primary facade. The UDO states that 3 different Class 1 or 2 materials are required on primary facades, and the applicant is proposing there be 1 Class 2 material on the western facade, which is the rear. Staff does not support the requested modification. The intent is to create visual interest, reduce the appearance of large, uninterrupted wall planes, and enhance the architectural character of street-facing facades. And while the applicant proposed the material used be provided in 2 different colors, the material palette remains limited and does not provide the level of visual diversity that the standard requires. The proposed design does not satisfy the letter of the code, nor does it meet the intent of the code, as the use of a single material in varying hues does not achieve a comparable level of architectural interest as the different materials would. Also being requested is a modification to the requirement for a wall articulation no less than once every 60 linear feet on primary facades. The applicant is proposing an articulation once every 181 linear feet on the front and no less than once every 130 linear feet on the rear. Staff is supportive of the request because the intent is to provide visual relief, and the proposed design provides that relief at a scale that is appropriate to the structure proposed. On the eastern facade, the design denotes a visual hierarchy that showcases the pedestrian entrance, while on the western facade, in addition to providing relief, the articulations do mask the dock doors and the utilitarian aspects of the building. The UDO requires all light fixtures on properties within or adjoining residential uses and/or districts shall not exceed 15 feet in height when within the perimeter area, which is 100 feet from the property line. Outside of the perimeter area, the height may be increased to 20 feet. The applicant is proposing a modification to allow parking lot light poles be 28 feet tall. Staff is supportive of the request since the plans show the proposed average finished grade approximately 7 feet lower than the adjacent residential. Therefore, the perceived height would be about 19 feet tall, which is equivalent to the second floor of the adjacent apartments. Also, given the orientation of those developing apartments, the light poles, if negatively impactful, would affect about 4 units. However, the height is not expected to negatively impact nearby residents, as the lights will utilize flat lens, include cutoffs, and will not exceed the maximum foot candle as allowed by the UDO. The last modification request is to the high impact screening requirement, which requires a masonry wall, vinyl fence, or berm be installed in addition to low impact screening. The applicant is proposing to utilize the proposed grade in lieu of installing the wall, fence, or berm along the southwestern portion of the property adjacent to the ag zoning. Staff is supportive of the modification since strict application of the code would result in a fence or berm, which would not screen or buffer adequately due to the grade change. Also, the ag zoned property is used for utilities, not in agricultural or residential use, which negates the purpose of that buffer. The proposal, including the landscaping and grading, will achieve the intent of the code to mitigate visual impacts. A neighborhood meeting was held on March 5th, 2026, where 11 members of the public attended. Questions and topics of concern included road improvements, traffic, and site access. Staff has not received any letters or phone calls in support or opposition. Staff reviewed the request against the criteria outlined in the UDO, which generally speaks to compatibility with the surrounding area, impacts on utilities and services, and conformance with the comprehensive plan, and with the conditions of approval outlined here, including condition number 6 stating that the building must comply with the mix of materials requirement, and in the staff letter, the application meets the goals of the Ignite comprehensive plan and the requirements of the UDO, and I am here for any questions that you all may have.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to ask the commission if there's any questions for staff or applicant, and I'm going to start with Commissioner Jonna Ford.
Thank you, Chair. So when this application came forth, I did do a research just to kind of see where Dillon's is. It's new, and I did take a look at the Olathe planning application. I was curious if there's any way that we could pull it up to kind of compare. It does relate to a couple of my questions that I have.
Yeah, staff can take a look at that and get that pulled out for you. But if you want to ask some of your other questions while we do that.
Yeah. Is there any trash enclosure on the site? I didn't see any, nor did I see how it's being treated.
Yes, there's a compactor on the back, so it's all enclosed.
Do you mind pulling it up in the plan?
So in the back where the truck dock is, there's a bay for a compactor right here, so all the trash gets put into there.
Okay, so it's all concealed in like
Yes.
this utility yard of sorts?
Yes.
Okay. In terms of the lights, this may be for the civil engineer, maybe? Yeah, actually that slide that you just scrolled past, that's got the elevation of it, where it kind of shows the relationship between, yeah, that's perfect. Can you talk through a little bit exactly why the 28 is required versus the 20?
Yes, it's to, we're trying to optimize universal coverage of lighting across the parking lot. A lot of the standard light pole heights that we use across the country is even higher at about 41.5 feet. That's what we're coming down from. And once you get a bit lower in a parking lot like this, it just keeps multiplying how many light posts you have to do to keep a nice, safe level of lighting for all the customers. And one thing we wanted to try to avoid is having so many that we're constantly conflicting with landscaping and things of that nature. So about 28 feet provided us that uniform coverage and also kept the lighting levels high enough and still provided all the cutoff that we needed when it came to actual true impacts when we look at our photometric analysis to make sure we're not impacting anyone neighboring us.
And so I see on the photometric plan, there's no light fixture poles over the fuel canopy, and that's, is it safe to assume it's because the fuel canopy itself emits the light required for that area?
Yes.
Does that light happen to spill over into the island on the plan west side? I guess what I'm trying to understand is how impactful would it be to drop the light fixtures to 20 to align better with what's adjacent on the apartments? And that being said, it's because the canopy itself is at 20 feet, then you're jumping to 28 feet, and then you're jumping up even higher for the main building. So just trying to minimize the different jogs throughout the site.
Yeah. So actually light fixture mounting height on the building is generally 15 feet. For the wall packs along the building, there's not really a density issue when it comes to placing the wall packs along the building. And the canopy is concentrated light, so there's lights in every aisle in the canopy, so it's much closer together. One, for safety, we want fuel centers to be safe when people go shopping there. So that's the design intent behind the fuel center. Parking lot lighting, a slightly lower level, but still want to maintain that safety. That's why we have the various jumps that we do have.
Okay. No, that helps me understand a little bit more. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner, I do believe staff has that information that you requested us to bring up.
Perfect. Thank you. What I'm more interested in looking and comparing, if we can maybe like put up the proposed for Lee Summit elevations and then the proposed Olathe side by side.
Yes, let me get that one ready. Goodness.
How does it feel to be on the spot?
It's okay. This was the one that I wasn't prepared for, was ours. Okay, see if we can get this one split. It's all in blue beam. Okay. Okay. There, we'll go with that. Oh, why isn't it? There we go. I thought you guys were watching me struggle. Okay.
So the one on the left, if I'm correct, is the Olathe proposed?
Correct.
Okay. So I think I'm good. Mr. Young, do you mind stepping up to the podium, please?
Do you want me to leave this one up here? Or
Yeah,
remove
this
it?
will be fine.
Okay, and Chair, could we enter in the Olathe ones to the exhibit? As an exhibit?
Yes, do we give them a number, or are we, 19? Is it 19?
Yeah, when we move this forward to City Council, we'll update that exhibit list.
Okay, so Exhibit 19 noted and entered into the record.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
I would love if you could talk us through the back of house vocabulary that you've created. I guess for the Lee Summit proposed, I think we need to switch down to Plan West.
Sorry.
See if we can figure out how to switch pages. It's not gonna like me. There we go.
Perfect.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so I want to focus on the primary facade that you've got labeled for Olathe, and then the rear facade that you have labeled for the one here off of Douglas.
Okay.
So just looking at it, the one from Olathe has a lot more movement to it. Can you speak a little bit why there was a reduced finish application or usage of material on what's planned as a rear, although Main is a well-traversed road?
Well, I believe the Olathe store, there was an overlay district there that required some different elements and things like that. So that was one of the reasons. The other is that it is very similar in that it does have the back and forth kind of articulation, the vertical articulation. The one in Olathe is a little bit taller, but it still has that same vocabulary. And then the choice of materials comes from trying to, because one of the things that one of the challenges with kind of trying to meet design criteria for each different area that we build in is trying to keep brand identity and the building, because Dillon's and Kroger, they want to try to keep the building similar as they can across all their different stores so that it's, again, recognizable, and brand identification is very important. So that's kind of, I don't know if that answered your question, but that's kind of the, you can kind of see the similarities between the two. I don't know, Tim, did you have anything you could add to that between Olathe and the store?
Yeah, I was not part of the Olathe project, but I do see a lot of the similar articulation. Now, Brian, let me ask you a question. In terms of the Olathe, is the Dillon's proposed here in Lee Summit, that's more the prototype or more the brand image that, you know, Kroger and Dillon's wants to move forward with?
Correct.
The Olathe had some overlay requirements that did maybe change some material and enhancements.
Yes, but it's still all masonry as it is here in Lee Summit.
Yeah.
I think what I'm getting more at is just the staff recommendation of utilizing different and a variety of different class materials. You know, if you just saw this in black and white, you would not be able to tell the difference in material. Now, that's just like a long shot example, but what I'm getting at is the one provided with the Olathe, it's got bands kind of anchoring each of those undulations within the facade to create some diversity. It doesn't look like a back of house. You know, Lee Summit's pretty big on like a four-sided architecture, and looking at the two elevations here, they look very industrial. They don't look like a grocery store, and so trying to understand if there's any flexibility with what this could be. Could it be enhanced, or what other options? Now, I know you mentioned, well, this is a clarification question. I know you had mentioned that this Lee Summit is considered a prototype. So are you saying that the Olathe version is a deviation from the prototype? Or, I'm just trying to understand like the different levels in terms of cohesiveness. Like the pickup in Olathe, it's a field finish, but here you've got an accent blue. So there alone, you're kind of creating a distinction between two different buildings.
Right, and again, it's the overlay district and requirements in Olathe necessitated changing the materiality and for example, the pickup, they didn't allow any of those colors on the building. But Dillon's would prefer that because again, that's part of their branding and part of their recognition. So that's why you kind of see we're trying to stay as close to prototype as we can while still meeting the intent of the requirements here in Lee Summit.
Okay. I think that's really all the questions I have right now. Thank you, Chair.
And real quick, Brian, on the elevations here on the rear, they're still Class 1 materials.
Correct.
And it's just that they're all masonry, but the back of the building here, we have, what, 4 or 5 different masonry types? And it's in the 90 percentile range of materials?
That's
Okay.
correct.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Chair, I just make a small correction that those are actually Class 2 materials on that rear facade or that back facade.
Thank you. Commissioner Gruner?
Mr. Young, will you come back up? You probably should stay there for just a few minutes, yeah. So the one thing that we haven't really talked about is the gas station canopy. Can you pull that up on the drawing so that we can take a look?
Would you like still the split screen or just ours? Okay.
Thank you.
Go back to this one then.
Perfect, thank you. Let's see.
Will you walk us through this design and the different components and materials being used?
Sure. So this is the prototypical fuel canopy that they typically do. So the materials that are around the canopy above, where you see the Dillons in the red and the gray, that's a aluminum composite material that you typically see at most gas stations. Then you've got the steel canopy structural columns in between each gas pump here. The kiosk itself is going to be masonry to match and complement the same masonry that's on the store itself. So it's meant to kind of have that language there. And then you also see a bit of a screening element with more ACM panel around the top of that kiosk to screen the rooftop unit that's on there.
Did you guys happen to explore any other types of designs, or have you done any other types of designs for the gas station canopies?
Well, actually, Marvin, did you, because Marvin actually is the one who's doing the fuel center.
Fantastic,
So
thank
he could
you.
probably speak to that a little bit better.
Sorry, picked the wrong person.
Yes, for fuel centers, generally, the the goal we have now, the layout is prototypical, so the columns, the canopy pretty much stay pretty much in line across all the stores we work on. The variation is usually to match the masonry, especially around the columns and the kiosk, to match the store that's adjacent. So that's really the variation that we typically have with the fuel centers, just making it match with what's on site.
So for me, when I looked at it, we see all the different textures and we see the building behind. This is front and center on a very busy thoroughfare that a lot of people are going to pass by. And it doesn't look quite cohesive to me. I feel like we've got two different feels that are going on. I think this is what your typical gas station may look like, but behind we've got some elevated finishes and elevated materials. And I was just curious if there has been anything else explored.
Okay. Not quite for this one. So we generally want to keep the brand recognition the same, so that's what the canopy does. But there have been some variations with that, so yeah.
Great. So that covers my questions there. I do have a few questions around the road improvements.
Okay.
And the signal, and I'm not sure if we need anyone from the city to be involved as well. Has the Lee Summit School District been contacted and discussed about the light signal? Have they provided any feedback, comments?
Susan Berry, traffic engineer. No, we have not had any conversations with the school district about this.
Is that something that would happen before final development plans are done, or what's that process look like?
Not typically, no.
Okay. So if I understand everything correctly, there's a new traffic light that would go in that would serve, will you pull that up? Are you able to pull that up?
I can try.
Instead of me just trying to talk to it off the top of my head, we can just look at it.
Am I getting close? Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
So the new traffic light would go at this far south
It's
entrance?
directly across from the existing entrance.
So sorry, so it would be more on the north in this image?
It's it's right here. Can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the existing entrance into Lee Summit North High School. I think the buses use that one.
Okay.
So as part of our road improvements, we are requiring a southbound left, which will benefit the school. So I doubt they will have any issues with the signal there, but no, we have not had that conversation.
And then what type of pedestrian crossing, or what would that look like there for that intersection?
So at a signalized intersection, we would just provide a pedestrian signal heads, push buttons, crosswalks, everything you would see at a normal signalized intersection to cross Douglas. I don't know that we have detailed design yet. We might only allow crossing at either the north side or the south side of the intersection. It just definitely helps with signal timing if you don't have two separate crossings across a busy street.
And then I know that there's the intersection that is Tudor and Douglas isn't too far away.
Correct.
Do we have any concerns about traffic buildup? I drive that road every day, and at certain times there is a lot of traffic on it. So are there any concerns about potentially the traffic flowing into the previous
The spacing?
signal? Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what the distance is right here, but normally we shoot for a quarter mile between signals. And Douglas is controlled by what we call Operation Greenlight. And so it's a third party by Mid-America Regional Council. And they basically time the signals all the way from Colburn all the way down through Chipman. And so we are not doing the signal timing. We pay them to optimize the signal corridor to try to keep you from having to stop at each one, because that's kind of their specialty. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you. And then the only other question that I have is just about the pedestrian access. So we've got, and I'm not really sure who should answer this, but it's more on the interior of the development. So we have a new development that has a bunch of multifamily. We've got a school across the street. We've got a park down the street. What are we thinking in terms of foot traffic or pedestrian access Will there be sidewalks in the inside of the development? Is it pedestrian friendly is what I'm after?
So what you see on this plan, we have a primary sidewalk connection going out to the street, and it's this one that comes straight up to the through the site towards the pharmacy. That's typically the side of the site that we want to have that. We want it close enough to that edge just to help control how many crossings are on these main drive aisles to be as safe as possible. But so in this configuration, we have only 2 main crossings of a main drive aisle, but it's coming off the street. It'll be connected to the public sidewalk, and the goal is to have that be the route if someone's walking to the store, to take that route into the store and not cross through the main parking field, because that gets into a lot of conflicts.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, that's all my questions for now.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Chizinski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question for the architect and Adair, if you can. Can you split screen again? And is there a gas station being offered in that Olathe store?
I believe there is a fuel center there.
Can we see the elevations of that? I agree with Commissioner Greneau and Commissioner Townsend Ford. I really like to see elevated exteriors on our developments in the city. And one of the reasons, especially in this area, that I want to see a more cohesive elevations on the gas station along with the building is because you have across the street, you've got the school, which is an all brick facility, really nice facility. You have just to the north that apartment complex, which is a really nice facility. You have a police station just on the north side of that, very nice facility. You have a lot of very good things going on there. And then unfortunately, you have this gas station that looks like it's just a gas station plugged in that could have been done anywhere. And so I'd like to see an elevated exterior to this gas station. And quite honestly, I like the one on the left, my left, which is very more muted colors. You still have the Dillon's logo. I can't imagine anyone's going to think this is anything other than a Dillon's, being it's in front of a Dillon's. But I think with the stone columns, and I think that kind of facility fits in better with the overall look of what's going on in those, well, you can't say 4 corners, but across the street and up. And so I really would like to see the developer go back and look and come up with something like this, that for this area, more so than what's in the existing. Now, you also are asking a lot for us to give up. And so sometimes when you're asking for those to give up, we really want something more back. And so I think I'd like to see some more of this, and I'd be willing to accept some of the others. I am in agreement with the city and what our staff has said about what they're willing to give up and what they're not willing to give up. And I think in lieu of that, I think this is a really good addition to help make it feel good on our end. But I do prefer the one on my left, which is, I guess, your left as well, as a look for this area. So one other question, thank you very much. One other question for Susan, our city traffic engineer. Just real quick, Susan, you don't have to get up, you can just say, are we going to signal interconnect this signal with the rest of them through OGL, and is that being done by the engineer and the developer?
We'll work that out in final development plans, but yes, we would like that all connected to the neighboring signals.
Yeah, because I think that's going to be super important, especially when school gets out, then you have the peak times. That's going to have to be interconnected, and that's going to really help that flow really well, too.
Yes, we can make sure that's done in the final development plan.
All right, excellent. So that's all I had, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hatcher?
I'm sorry, Susan. Could you... You just stepped away. As far as the traffic impact there with peak hours, are there any, I guess, best practices as far as when it's adjacent to a school like this with slightly off hours of the peak timing with specifically school-related traffic, and that being the bus entrance? How do you feel about that traffic impact? Because I guess we're wondering, how much will they fight each other, or will it be off enough to have minimal impact? Can you speak to that anymore?
So in the AM peak, they counted from 7 to 9 a.m., which incorporates both your school and your AM typical traffic peak. And so that essentially is probably the worst case scenario in the afternoon. I'm not sure if they counted school time dismissal. I think they only counted from 4 to 6, but I think since Douglas is such a busy road, I think that the peak is probably in that 4 to 6 window. I don't think it's school traffic.
Thank you. And when we consider this, I don't know if it would be in the actual traffic analysis, but as far as the construction that would occur at that point, do we have any idea how that would impact the traffic, even short term? If we're redoing that intersection, I assume that would reroute the buses, at least temporarily.
When it gets into the detailed design, we can look at trying to shorten the time frame for when that is being constructed. Sometimes with our CIP projects, we try to do that when school's out of session. If not, we'll have conversations with the school district at that time about alternate plans and how they'll be affected.
Okay, because I'm just assuming with current timelines, if this moves forward, I highly doubt we're wanting to wait until next June to begin construction on this at this point. So I'm assuming it would impact school traffic.
I think it will, yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I think that is it on traffic. Thank you, Susan. I did have a couple questions. I guess it'd be for the applicant as far as the neighborhood meeting and how that went. Essentially, I saw there was, minutes provided, but it didn't get into any of what those questions were or how the discussion was. If any of that feedback was taken into consideration or any changes made to the plans as a result of that.
Yeah, actually, it was pretty positive. I don't know if it's the owners or folks that work on Northwest Main Street, there was concern about what does that look from their perspective and is there access. So with the topography, we've taken all that into consideration, and we had an issue with the access being too close to the apartment drive, or maybe that was Commerce, so we had to move it and we adjusted the topography to maintain that access. So I think that that business owner will like that. But for the most part, everybody felt it was a pretty good addition.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. I did have one follow-up question on the trash enclosure. I hadn't thought about it, but is there one for the gas station specifically, or would they also be utilizing the compactor? And
No, that has its own enclosure.
okay, is that there on the, I guess that'd be the south side of the fuel station area?
I don't see it drawn on here, but it would probably, be at one of these locations here and not facing the major drives, but have access for the dump trucks for pickup.
Would you be able to go to the big picture rendering? Might have been on your other.
It was on your presentation.
Oh, yeah, I'm on yours.
Mm-hmm.
So you think it'd be one of those corners there?
Yeah, probably one of these corners. Marvin, I don't know if you want to speak to it.
I'll just clarify, most of the times, unless we've discovered something operationally during design from Dillon's, when we have it on the same site and it's not separated by another property, they'll usually marshal the trash at the fuel center and use the same compactor behind the store instead of having a separate one unless it ends up being required at any point.
So anything from the fuel station, they would transport the trash to utilize the internal compactor?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, and thank you for providing this rendering, and thank you to staff. I don't know if that was encouraged or not, but we have requested it in the past, and thank you for this being included. It is very helpful. I think that is it for my questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Pesch?
I wanted to thank them for the presentation. It was really well thought out by staff and the applicant. I had a few stormwater questions. So kind of, this is a good slide. You can kind of look, we can go off this. But I wanted to understand the philosophy, like how stormwater is getting conveyed off the site, and I assume we have a 100-year detention and all of that.
Yes, so we're following the APWA manual for the stormwater detention. We do have some stormwater coming onto the site from Northeast Douglas. We're planning on bypassing that stormwater essentially through a kind of like a parallel pipe network, since that's water we don't want to have to control within our pond since it's coming off-site. But these ponds, they're more so linked. The pond further to the south is essentially the forebay for the water quality aspects of it, and the north pond handles most of the detention storage. There's existing culvert on Main Street that we're connecting to that this site generally drains to right now. And one thing is these ponds, there's a pretty big drop off on the back end of this site. It's about 50 feet of fall from street to street, and so a lot of that will be pretty low and in the storage behind the truck docks. Pretty decent slope down there. So that's the philosophy of how we're handling the stormwater. We're just pretty much all routing it to that southern basin as somewhat the water quality forebay, and then on to the north pond to control the runoff rate.
And are those basins sized for the full development,
Yes,
including everything future?
Yes, and we even sized the basin on that remote lot as well, just to make sure something would fit there. So, yeah, we're accounting for full development.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Yerington?
Just real quick, to address the sidewalk. Is the sidewalk in front of Dillon's going all the way from the future commercial plans on the left side by the water tower and going across all the way to the apartments to the right, if you would?
Right now, we don't have a sidewalk to these, this future commercial right here. I would think with that development plan, we'll probably have a sidewalk connection to Main Street directly to this, and there is a place for it to go within the site plan if that connection is needed. And then it goes across the front of the store to the end of the retail.
Yeah.
It does not go further to the apartments. That's a pretty steep slope up there, and
Right.
I'm not sure.
I was kind of referring to the front of the gas station.
Yes.
There will not be sidewalks there for, I don't know if you took into consideration those apartments that are to the right under construction, if they would be able to walk and have that ability to go to the grocery store.
Yes, so that's, we're building the public sidewalks.
Okay, right there.
Along the whole frontage.
Okay.
Yes. So, and that's what we're connecting to for our internal.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Trafton? Commissioner John Ford?
Thank you, Chair. On the topic of pedestrian friendliness, I don't know if this is going to be civil or architecture. I'll ask the question, you guys can decide. Well, on the elevation, Ms. Bright, was there also the site plan?
For Olathe?
Yes, please.
It was separate, but I pulled that one up too.
See, you know me.
See if we can finagle. Okay.
Thank you.
Does that work, or do you want it zoomed out a little bit?
If you can zoom in specifically to Plan West of the Dillon's area, they have it called out as site amenity.
This area here?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. So I understand that this is right along a thoroughfare. It's kind of like an opening into the Dillon's area. Can you speak a little bit about the use and purpose of this site amenity? I see it's got benches, good landscaping.
The site amenity area in Olathe was a requirement of this overlay district in particular. We're not certain that it will have much utility when the store's functioning, but it was put there to provide kind of an offshoot for pedestrians if they needed. To say it helps. The city wanted just more of that space along their roads, and I think there was just a minimum percentage of the site that we needed to make available as an amenity. So that probably will not function as much for the grocery customers as maybe people just walking along the road who want a place to stop by, maybe if they're walking their dog or something. So it's not really a function of the grocery store as much as a set requirement for that one particular overlay district.
Okay. So that leads to my other question. We've talked a lot about just kind of connectivity, you know, the apartment on the north, you've got school. I used to live in the neighborhood right across north, and I would have loved to have been able to walk to a Dillon instead of drive my car. And so I think this kind of like landing site amenity is a great little spot, or it's a site amenity. It's great. Seeing on the proposed parking, I see that there's an excess of 11, which it's a decent amount to convert to a site amenity. Has something like that been considered in lieu of over parking?
We don't feel like the site is really overparked for the demand that we think will be at this store. So when we were going through our site planning exercise, we felt like we were tight on the parking overall. So we're trying to make sure we maintain that enough. And I do think we are providing a pretty good connection from Northeast Douglas straight to the front of the store, similar to this site right here. Our main connection is coming down one of the aisles and pretty much straight to the front door. So let's just say I'm not sure we have much flexibility in deleting parking spaces, being that we've already have some in non-optimal places, like we're going to put employees behind the shops just to reduce how much space that they would take up in the front parking area.
I was just interested in seeing, I know a lot of people, you know, we like developments that help bring people to the community, jobs, more amenities, but I would also like to see less like heat islands and just some additional incorporation of, you know, landscaping, whether it's buffer or just a swath of grass that's untouched. Yeah. So that's where I was just trying to understand the philosophy. I like that word, philosophy behind it. So yeah. That's all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jasinski?
No,
I thought you were motioning to me. Commissioner Trafton?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to continue the line of questioning from Commissioner Janiford. I mean, it does look like you have a sodded area on the north side of that lot, and so I was wanting to see, like, how big is that area that you have there? What's the dimensions of that?
I'm sorry, on their Olathe plan or on the plan?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the Lee Summit plan.
Okay.
It looks like, I think that's the north side. Am I reading that wrong? No, there's the gas. This is the store.
No.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there you go. See that area right there? It's on one of on the landscaping plan. It calls for sod. There you go. So how big is that area? I mean, that to me kind of goes to what Commissioner Ford was, Jana Ford was saying.
I'll say that area, I can't give you the exact acreage of that area, but it's probably an acre altogether. But
Yeah, it's
a
pretty
lot
big.
of what we're dealing with on this site is dealing with the topography of the site. It's going to be pretty steep, and now we're going to be working through a final development plan of making whatever adjustments we need to make the slopes work out as favorable as possible. But this will be climbing towards the apartments. This was lower than the apartments, and that whole area will generally be sloped down towards the parking lot. So it'll be more of a slope than a flat area.
But you don't know exactly what the slope is?
Our preliminary grading plan,
Commissioner Track.
we reduced it some, but there's the existing slope, which is probably around 8% or so, and then we have just some rough tilings that they're on. We'll probably smooth it out to make the site work better overall, so it's nothing too jagged, but we do have some areas where it gets tight going through here.
I mean, I'm looking at what, like 10 to 13 feet on that slope?
Yeah.
Is that what you're seeing?
Yes.
I mean, would it be possible? I mean, I can see how there isn't going to be, because of the slope, the street will be the connection to the apartment complex, is what you're saying to me.
Yeah.
I think from the plan, but there's no possibility of adding benches or anything into that area. Or like if, people like to bring their dogs and stuff to places.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's permitted in a Dillon's, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they deal with the pets and things of that nature, but I'm not certain what they would entertain putting on that side of the site.
Is it possible, in your opinion,
To do.
to add benches?
I mean, it's always possible to.
It's always possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we need to add that the last elevation that you showed from I think from the Olathe store to our exhibits, or did we encompass it all when I added the original one?
We'll go ahead and add that as Exhibit 20 into the list of exhibits.
Okay, Exhibit A, number 20, noted and entered into the record. And Commissioner Trafton has another question for the city.
Thank you, Chair. The lot with, I think I heard you say there's a detention holder underground on that corner, right, of Tudor and Douglas? Chipman and Douglas? Is that correct? Like when you look at it's just south of the lot, and then there's the water tower, and then there's the vacant lot.
Yes.
I could answer.
Isn't there
That's an underground water tower? The
Yeah, that's what I
slutter,
would-
where the slutters go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an underground water tank there, right? So
Yes.
that's why that's left open like that.
Yes.
Okay. And so your thought is, I see the landscaping plan there is double laned, which is good. I know we're not requiring the burn, but we've talked about these, because that's always going to be a green space. And I know there's an elevation change there as well. I'm just curious about, and it does look like did you work with them to enhance that landscaping plan to be double laned like that?
We did. They increased the amount of plantings because of the modification.
And you feel good about that?
We do.
You know how I love greenery year round and think it should be standard. So I know they have added a lot more year round greenery. So, all right, I just wanted to double check. I see that holly and stuff like that there. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak in support or opposition to this application? I see none. Any additional questions from the commission? Oh, come on up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. I will give you 3 minutes.
Not sure if he was sworn in or not.
Okay. Were you sworn in? Okay.
I promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
3 minutes. Scott Kanoki, a physical therapist in 800 Northwest Main, Summit Strength Physical Therapy. I sent you guys some emails. I just wanted to make sure. Did you get them?
Sir, when you address, will you just address the commission?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Just trying to make sure we're looking at a big picture. Appreciate all your effort. Trying to make this a nice place for Lee Summit. I think that main corridor has a chance to be something that really looks nice and can have some access. I deal with people with disabilities, so I'm looking at an opportunity to them getting to the store and having a cool spot to maybe go back to Marketplace, back to the community. And I'm looking at that opportunity for people to maybe go down and around to the way to get in here. And the engineer had said there's a Main Street. You said sidewalk to Main Street from parking lot? Did you say that, or did you mean Douglas? That's what I thought. You said Main, and I thought we had it. But those are some of my concerns. I'm for it, but I would like, I'm struggling with the process, so I'm not sure what my next process is as we go along. I'm pretty busy each day. I sent a lot of emails out to the mayor and several other folks, so I'm just trying today to find out the next steps so I can speak to the right people.
Okay, thank you. Do you have I think his question was accessibility, more about the accessibility, correct? From Maine. I guess we can follow up with some questions from the commission. Are there any more public comments or? Okay, we have none of those, so I'm going to turn it back over to the commission for questions. Commissioner Goyette.
So the question probably for the applicant to address the questions about the sidewalk that would go from Main, so the back part of the development forward. Has that been explored? Is that something that you guys might entertain?
So the main reason why we don't have the sidewalk from Main right now is, again, going back to the site topography, the back drive is very steep. Even our front drives are decently steep, but they are within what we're comfortable with, and we have the sidewalk separated from the drive to give us more flexibility and adding length. With the detention ponds back there, we don't have quite as much flexibility. It would not quite meet ADA, it wouldn't meet ADA slopes at all to have a sidewalk connection there. So the concern is we'd rather people circle the block than come up an extremely steep sidewalk, but I understand the concern of getting that connection.
For sure. Thank you.
Does the applicant care to respond to any public or commission questions or comments at this time? Okay. Okay, you're coming up. All right. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Patricia Jensen again with the Rouse Fretz Law Firm. We've worked long and hard on this site, and we've got certain deadlines. We can't increase costs so much that the store is not feasible. So we would request respectfully that you approve the plan subject to the modifications that have gone through. Your staff report talks about that they don't support the modification on the commercial building requirements and the facade materials on page, I think it's page 13 of your staff report. And the conditions listed in the staff report, which are on page, they begin on page 15. We agree with all of those conditions with the exception of number 6. So that's, and we can answer any further questions,
Okay, thank you.
but we do appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you. I was just going to say, I like hiking in Colorado, and I'm thinking that the 50-foot drop, that sidewalk, the steepness could be good practice, because we flatlanders don't get much of that, so.
I do recognize that, but it is very hilly. And we are not required, I'm a lawyer, I'm not required to build amenities for other people who go off-site. I mean, we are building our grocery store and our
Right.
development.
No, I was
plan.
just kidding you.
No,
Okay, all right. So hearing no further testimony, I'm going to close the public hearing and reopen the regular meeting. And I'm going to open this up for commission discussion on the application. I do want to say one thing. I think we're struggling with the modification for the materials. We spent a lot of time with our redesigning, or talking about our design standards, and that's fairly new as far as materials. And I also have heard discussion about the awning. So I'm going to start with Commissioner Tuzinski with comments.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Real quick, though, if we can, Madam Chairman, may I address city, when would this project go to City Council for this gentleman back here, so he knows what the next step is?
Currently, it's on track for the July 7th City Council meeting for its public hearing.
Okay, so, sir, in back, did you hear that? Okay, all right, good, thank you. All right, so I love that Dillon's is wanting to be in Lee Summit, and you've said it over and over again, how this is your priority. And so we appreciate that, and we love that, and we all believe that we have an amazing city as well. So thank you for that. But then there's also the other side of, I think we expect a little more. And I think the awning and the whole gas station facade, I think that can be elevated. And I'm going to add an additional condition that we have staff work with you on an elevated facade that as much as possible, realistic, that's like Olathe's, okay? So we're gonna let you guys work together on that so that we can come up with something mutually beneficial, and we trust city to do that, our staff to do that. Other than that, I'm fine. I don't mind the 28-foot. I understand why you're doing it. You know, it is what it is. The other site's a little higher. It does balance out. And then again, I could just imagine how many lights you would need at 15 foot. It would just make it look like sticks everywhere. It may just be too much. And so I think this is a good balance. I'm okay with the sidewalk connectivity where it is located. It makes a lot of sense. As much as I love Commissioner Trafton, I just don't know if it makes a lot of sense to put benches on that northern side, because there's no pedestrian over there. There's no reason over there. Maybe, Commissioner Jenna Ford, I even mentioned to her, well, what about that green space that's the gas station? Maybe something there when you're doing your final plan. Maybe you could throw a bench or something there. Again, that's up to you and what you want to bring to the city. But other than that, we appreciate you coming. I love your presentation. I appreciate your passion to be here because, like I said, we love our city as well. And so thank you for that. So that's going to be my additional motion when it comes time to. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Back to you.
Commissioner Jenna Ford.
Thank you, Chair. Shannon, question for you. So this is PDP, then it goes to FDP. So there's theoretically 2 approvals or recommendations on the commission board for this application. Is that correct?
No. Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry, I don't.
So this is a
don't think I followed.
PDP, preliminary, and we
Correct.
will see an FDP.
No, the FTP is an administrative process that
Okay.
it's only reviewed by staff.
Okay. So then that kind of alters my thought process. I agree. I appreciate Dillon's and everything that you guys have done. It's going to be great for the community, but I just have a lot of hesitation with the facade. last application, we had another project that looked very industrial, didn't fit with the area, and we requested kindly that they re-review their facade, and I would hope that that's something that you guys can do as well, in addition to the canopy. Other than that, I think it's great. Thank you.
Commissioner?
I don't have any additional comments. Appreciate you guys being here. We're excited about it. But I echo all of the sentiments of my other commissioners.
Commissioner Yerington?
Again, I echo everyone's comments. The facade, we can get better with that. And the presentation was great. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Pesch?
No additional comments for me.
Okay. Commissioner Hatcher?
Also, thank you to the Dillon's team for your apparently very keen interest in Lee Summit. I think it'll be great overall. I do think it's a great location. I am concerned about the traffic. I don't know that I necessarily have any suggested changes, other than I do think it would be appropriate for someone to discuss it with the school in some capacity, in particular logistics around construction and timing, if this were to move further, if it were approved. But overall, I do like it, share some facade concerns, but overall think it'd be great for the community, so thank you.
Commissioner Trafton?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Dillon's, for coming here. I think this is a prime location, like central. You have a lot of rooftops, which I'm sure you're looking forward to, and close to the downtown core, which I know they will appreciate. I think I share some of the same concerns as my fellow commissioners around the facade. I do think this is already scoped in Olathe like this, and I think with an elevated look, we would need to elevate the gas station stalls, etc. I do appreciate the concession for additional landscaping, and I also appreciate that there's not an excessive amount of signage. So I do think that people will know where this is and know that it's a Dillon's, and so I appreciate that. I do think that I support Commissioner Chizinski's additional condition that we need to consider, and I'll look forward to that, and then having them work with the city to work through some of the other things. But I am in agreement with the city staff. So thank you, everybody, for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you. Commissioner Moore?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just say good job and thank you for all the effort from everybody on this. My real only comment is just sharing my fellow commissioners' evaluation and opinion on the facade work. And so the Olathe place looks really awesome. The gas station looks nice to drive by. The red really jumps out. So hope that that is considered in your revised plan with the city, and thank you for no other comments.
Thank you. All right, so I don't see any further questions or comments, so I would entertain a motion from Commissioner Grono.
Chair, I move to recommend approval of application PL 2026-035, rezoning from P1. Is that PO? Am I
It's
reading?
PI,
PI. Sorry.
Land Industrial.
I'll try again. Chair, I move to recommend approval of application PL 2026-035, rezoning from PI, PO, and RP4 to CP2 and preliminary development plan, Dillon's Grocery Store, fuel kiosk with canopy and retail space located southwest of the Northeast Tudor Road and Northeast Douglas Street intersection. Tim Goyette, Phillips Edison and Company, applicant.
Can we get a second?
Second.
Okay. And then
And Madam
you want to do a
Chairman,
modification?
I'd like to make a motion to add a condition number 8, that the applicant and city work together to develop a facade of the gas station, canopy, columns, post, and building that is similar to the Olathe site that they have proposed.
Okay, can we get a second on that one?
Second.
All right, and a roll call vote on the modification first.
So just so I'm clear, so this is a roll call vote on the amended, or the
Yes.
amendment to,
Yeah, I called it the modification, but yeah. So we're going to vote on that first, and then we'll come back around and vote on the motion itself.
Edward Yerington,
Yes.
Molly Pesch,
Yes.
Peyton Hatcher,
Yes.
Terry Trafton,
Yes.
Dana Arth,
Yes.
Jessica Gruneau,
Yes.
Tanya Jonna Ford,
Yes.
Chip Tazinski,
Yes.
Lee Moore.
Yes.
Okay. Can we get a vote on the motion, please?
Edward Yerington,
Yes.
Molly Pesch,
Yes.
Peyton Hatcher,
Yes.
Terry Trafton,
Yes.
Dana Arth,
Yes.
Jessica Gruneau,
Yes.
Tanya Jonna Ford,
Yes.
Chip Tazinski,
Yes.
Lee Moore.
All right, thank you. So the motion with the modification has passed. And we will, and thank you very much for coming to Lee Summit with your project. We will move on to Roundtable. Do we have any?
Chair, I have comments. I had the opportunity to attend the Community Economic Development Committee yesterday as part of the liaison from the Planning Commission. So just to let you know, we have new leadership. Obviously, we have a new set of council members over there. So chair is Hillary Shields and the vice chair is now Mia Pryor. And then new council members are Cravens, and then our friend, previous Commissioner Frazier is also on that committee. I think you see on the new website a really nice link to all the conditions, international codes, and everything that we follow here in Lee Summit. And so we had some extensive conversation about 659 pages of ordinances, et cetera. We did not go through them, but they taunted us with the books. And I will say those were moved forward to advance from the current 2018 codes to the 2024 codes around fire, building, property maintenance, et cetera. And those will go to council and become effective October 1st. And so going forward, there'll be some new conditions, I think mostly around, if you didn't know, lithium-ion batteries, are pretty dangerous when they get on fire. And so there's a lot of effort being considered around how to combat that. And, fire blankets are a good thing if you didn't know that. So I learned a few things there. Also, because we have apartment complexes in this community that now have valet trash services. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but you can just throw your trash outside the door and somebody comes by and picks it up. And so there are some new
It
restrictions.
has to be in a trash can though, right? You just can't throw it out the door into the hallway.
No, you just throw it
I'm
out the door.
clarifying.
There's going to be some restrictions around that. So maintenance, so you can't just throw the trash. You can't leave it in the hall all week either. So, because that creates a fire hazard. I know you guys want me to go through this long list of things, but, there are some good updated things that will help our community be safer, look better, specifically around weeds, rubbish, and garbage in certain lots. So, and how that's cared for. Let's see. And then we had a lovely conversation around special events and liquor license. And so if you didn't know, there's a certain percentage of alcohol sales ratios to food sales for you to maintain a restaurant license. And so we have a few establishments that are exceeding requirements currently. And so they're looking at adding, I think, a level of, I think the city's going to come back with an ordinance suggesting new language for a new business type that will allow for some businesses to have a higher percentage right now. So right now that's 50/50, if you didn't know, 50/50. And for businesses to get their license renewed annually, they have to meet that standard. And so that'll be coming forward. Nothing that really, you know, those codes and ordinances mostly relate to us. And so that is my report. Thank you. Did I miss anything, sir?
No, but I will add that once those do make it through the city council, if this body is wishing to have some updates, we'll definitely bring those to you and kind of walk through those. So those particular, the international codes, building codes, fire code, IPMC or International Property Maintenance Code are located outside of the UDO, so it's not really directly impacting the ordinances that you guys kind of review. However, it directly impacts the projects that you guys review, so definitely there. So I do have more if you were done. All right, so just want to give a quick reminder. Tomorrow is the first Football Friday. So I hope to see you all out there. It starts 6 to 10 here at Green Street. Food, music, watch parties, lots of kid-friendly activities. That goes for about 5 weeks. So for the next 5 weeks, we'll have a party there every Friday. So hope to see everybody out there. Also, a quick reminder, by our bylaws, Planning Commission officer elections are always the last meeting in June. So that's going to be our next upcoming meeting, June 25th. And then just to kind of touch back on that website update with that recent update, if you guys had some of those links bookmarked, they may be broke. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just to make it easy for everybody, I'll send out some of the highlight links that I have for everybody to kind of update what they have. So, and then for you guys and everybody watching in TV land, just kind of want to throw out there that we are upgrading our permit tracking system, CityView. So starting July 2nd around 3 o'clock, that system and the portal is going to shut down for that upgrade. And that'll be shut down through the weekend. So we're looking to have that back up and running that Monday, July 6th. So, and then last update, still working with the mayor to get that joint session scheduled. So once we get something pinned down, we'll definitely let you guys know.
Thank you.
That is all I have.
Oh, I guess, thank you, Shannon. Commissioner Garland?
I used the website. It was great. Thank you for sharing that information last meeting. I went hunting around looking for the presentation that we had that talked about the different materials and the different examples. I don't remember when it was, but it was a really pretty slide deck that walked through all the different examples and the textures, and this is how we use them. I tried to find it. I couldn't find it. Where do I get that?
So that'll be located in the portal there, and I can get you a link to that.
That would be great.
Yeah, you're referring to the consultants?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I did try to find it myself, for what it's worth. I tried.
No, we can get you a link to that.
That'd be great.
Will you send that to all of us?
Everybody.
That's great. Thank you.
It is
I
super
misunderstood
beneficial.
his you.
Everybody but you. No, just kidding. Yeah, I'll get that out to everybody just so everybody has that information.
All right, great meeting, everybody, and I'm going to adjourn at 6:44 PM.